Hey, what's up guys? Wade here, welcome to the channel. The last Need for Speed game that I played was Payback, which was several years ago now. That game just didn't grab me for whatever reason. It seemed like at that point the series was growing stale. The story was just corny and the open world wasn't very interesting. Now I never played Need for Speed Heat, which came out a few years ago, but I have heard some decent things about it. I may have to go back for myself and check that one out. Supposedly it was better than Payback was, but it was still nothing special. Of course, before those two games, we got a litany of others, including The Run, Hot Pursuit, and Shift, just to name a few, all of which had their fair share of pros and cons. What I'm getting at is there hasn't been a Need for Speed game on the same level as, say, an Underground 2 or a Most Wanted 2005. I haven't been excited about this series in a very long time, and I've had a pretty good history with it. I've put countless hours into Underground Rivals on PSP, Most Wanted on Vita, Underground 2 on PS2, and Carbon on GameCube. Heck, I even played the old Hot Pursuit on a Dell laptop when I was in middle school. It's a truly great series with a rich history, but I think it's grown complacent and stale over the years. Enter 2022's Need for Speed Unbound, the 25th game in the series. Unbound is a Need for Speed game that no one saw coming. It seemingly caught everyone off guard, including me. It's the first next-gen Need for Speed game. It's also the first one to be developed by Criterion since 2013's Rivals, which is lauded as a fan favorite. It's also the first game in the series that I'm aware of that uses unique cel shading effects. This is something that makes the game stand out, at least in my opinion. As I started playing this game and completing more and more races, I realized that it seems like when EA stopped trying so hard to make a great Need for Speed game, they actually made a great Need for Speed game. Unbound feels like a racing game that was put out with the intention of being goofy and carefree. That's sort of the vibe I get from this game. It seems like it doesn't care about all the seriousness that radiates from previous titles in the series. In Unbound, we do get a story, one that almost has a GTA feel to it, in a very much more reserved way. The story does come off as silly at times, and the voice acting is the same way. But it's actually pretty interesting to see where it goes and you're more invested than ever before. There are some politics involved revolving around the fictional Chicago-like Lakeshore City, but I never felt like it was trying too hard at any point to be anything but fun and silly. You'll get lots of cutscenes with various characters, along with hearing a lot of story developments on your car's radio, whether it be news-related or someone calling you on the phone. Things do start off kind of strange as you get to pick a junker that you want to rebuild. That happens very quickly as a story beat, and then you get to drive your fancy new car. But it's almost instantly taken away from you, and that's where the story kicks off. Some people will definitely not like this, and I can understand why. But the writers must have just thought that this was a cool and unique way to start the story. I think for many, it will provide an extra motivation to get their car back as they play through the game. Besides, to be honest, once you get some cash, you'll be able to start buying some pretty great cars that are highly capable. Lakeshore is definitely more interesting than some of the past Need for Speed maps. It's got both city and countryside with plenty of things to discover and do. I particularly enjoyed finding all the collectibles, such as wall graphics and inflatable bears. Just driving around the map allows you to take in the game's excellent sound design and visual flair. The graphics are definitely interesting and Unbound. The cars, characters, and smoke effects are all cel shaded, while the world around you is realistic, so it blends these two together to make this hybrid visual style. Personally, I think they should have just made all of it cel shaded, but I think that comes down to personal taste. What's important is that Need for Speed Unbound finally shook things up. Each type of car in this game has a unique sound, whether it's a tuner, muscle car, or even a pickup truck, and it may change depending on what modifications you make in the garage. Speaking of the garage, there are several spread throughout the map where you can park once you're done with that specific day. This game has a day and night mechanic where you have certain events in the daytime and others at night. As you complete events, it's imperative that you go to your garage without getting busted by the cops. If you are busted, they'll take all of your hard-earned cash that you've made during the day or night. This adds an element of risk, which I did enjoy. In Unbound, you can create your own character and customize him or her to your heart's content. The same goes for the cars. There are a lot of cars this time around, all of which are beautifully designed and very fun to purchase and collect. It's some of the best customization in a Need for Speed game in a long time. Of course, there are various classes, and the more you customize a given car, it may jump up to a new class. And there are all types of races, drift competitions, and time trials that you can complete around the city. There's never a time where you don't have anything to do or complete. Now let's talk about the gameplay. It's not very different from Heat. It's sort of like a better version of that game all around. They're still using the Frostbite engine, so it's going to feel very familiar for returning players. The racing experience is fun, the controls are responsive, and the cars are genuinely fun to drive. The AI is competitive and not afraid to race you hard. The difficulty is something a lot of people have complained about, and for good reason. On the lowest difficulty, races can seem pretty hard to win at first, but a lot of this has to do with having slower cars in the first parts of the game. As you progress, it does get easier. It may just take a while to be more competitive. And as far as the police go in this game, they're pretty relentless, and it's safe to say that they'll stop at nothing to bust you. Bottom line here with Need for Speed Unbound is that it came out of nowhere. I was not anticipating it. I wasn't expecting it to be so much fun to play and look at. I enjoyed the story and quirky characters. The cars are beautiful and fun to collect. There's so much good here that warrants a look for all racing fans. It's truly a great arcade racer that isn't afraid to try new things and just focus on being fun and addictive. So in my opinion, Need for Speed Unbound is fantastic, and it's a game that every racing fan should play. This is truly a return to form for the Need for Speed franchise. So guys, those are my thoughts on Need for Speed Unbound. Let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments. Have you played it? Are you going to play it? Are you going to pick it up today? Are you going to pick it up on sale? What are your likes and dislikes of this game? And if you're enjoying my content, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and ring the bell to stay notified for future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.